And I'd like to welcome Hugo Hanselmann onto the stage and his entire panel. Hugo is the CEO of HuHeHa, which is very fun to say. And this next panel is about leveraging value from the Internet of Things, which is a very hot topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for the introduction. So it's great to be here. It's an honor to be at ICOM Global. It's an honor to be part of the community. It's great to be in San Sebastian. And I think if you went out last night and you lived the lifestyle, you feel a little bit like you're part of San Sebastian as well, didn't you? So I did, at least last night. And then I went running this morning. And I ran with all these fit Sebastians, and I didn't see many of you guys, by the way. And when I was running, I had my phone switched on, measured how fast I was running, which route I was taking, how fast each kilometer was, wearing a jawbone band to measure the steps, some of my health rates. And that's starting to become the world of Internet of Things. So welcome to that world. With that, we're going to open up another pot of data, if we hadn't enough already. So, and I think that's what we'll try to do today, to really show, let's say, where this is going. How can we leverage data, leverage the data that Internet of Things are delivering to us, and want to focus in particular on the connected car. With me are Haruko, Brandon, and Richard. And Richard looks a bit different than the picture here, but he's also from Wejo. And what we want to do is really show you the value that Internet of Things can deliver and how to leverage that. And I want to kick that off with just to set the stage. I will describe the pot, and then the panel will show their views on what is in the pot, and then we're going to have a discussion. So now my turn to do the clicker. Next slide, please. No, all right.
Vicky? Yeah.
All right. So if let's say you're in this world of digital big data, we've gone through a revolution of computing power, revolution of the data storage capacity as well as data transmission capacities. But there's also a silent revolution going on, and that's the one of sensors. Your phone holds a load of sensors already, and you can see a couple of described here. And these are the things that actually make the phone smart. They know where you are, how fast you're going, what is the gravity you're experiencing, is it dark or light around you? Your way of touching the screen. So they make the phone smart. And they make other things smart as well. Okay, so now I know the direction. For instance, cars. Yeah? A car is full of sensors, and it measures many, many, many things. I can take a few examples and already highlight what is possible for the marketeer here. Take fuel level. If you know where the car is going, you know the fuel level in the car. Imagine what you could do in terms of communicating with that person in the car. Take the next sensor, which would be how many people are in the car? Which of the seats are occupied? And is it a kid or is it an adult? So that's another thing you can measure and again communicate to the persons in the car. Overall in the car there are more than 2,000 sensors. Also the car is full of software, more than 100 million lines of code. And we saw the BA plane flying over early on. The car has 7 times more software built in than a plane has. And it collects over 1 billion of data points on a normal trip. So with all of that, you can measure behavior, and we're going to hear more about that. You can apply predictive analytics to the data that the car is generating. And then, of course, you can engage with the persons in the car based on the context, so be very relevant. And I think also you can apply the data for product development, and we're going to hear from Richard a bit of that. So a news site like Business Insider is talking about this and is telling us it's becoming the next major battleground for us as digital media companies. Because here, 6.5 hours, you have undivided attention of a driver, apart from, of course, looking at the road. So this is a picture I took at CES this year, and you can see, I mean, how many screens are in the car. And I had a discussion with Arlene from China earlier this week about the 5 screens that she's focusing on. Well, here you've got the 6th screen that is coming your way in terms of communicating to potential audience. So let me hand over, starting with Haruko. She's a Touchpoint Evangelist at HAKUHODO from Japan. Then we'll hear from Richard, he's the commercial director at Wejo, responsible for OEMs and car OEMs and Internet of Things. And lastly, we'll have Brandon, who is a partner and director of Predictive Analytics at GroupM next. So Haruko, can I ask you to take the stage?
Thank you, Hugo. Can I get this mic working, please? Good, right. So, right, as Hugo just mentioned, we've got sensors all over the place. And sensors all over the place means we've got data all over the place. And all this week, I've been hearing about data, data, data. And what that means to us is the more data we get, the more KPIs we get for marketing. And the more KPIs we get for marketing, the more we have to optimize things. And everything gets more and more complex. So what I was wondering was, I was wondering if there was a single measurement, if there was just one single measurement that we could just measure, and that explained everything, then everything would be made much, much more simple. And that was what I was wondering about. And another topic that I heard a lot about this year was, this week, was about human beings, because everything all actually comes back to us. So that's why I've got here physical motion, happiness, and profitability, or, well, we might be able to say this as business success. So I was thinking about something that would be able to measure the human beings, and if that would be able to explain profitability or business success, then lives would be made much, much simpler for us marketers. So I'm going to talk about more sensors. And I've been working with, this is Dr. Yano from Hitachi. We've been working together, and he's a real sensor geek. He loves data, and he also works with cloud computing. So that's why he's the one that collects all the sensor data and does all the analyzing, and I'm the one that thinks how we can apply that to the marketing world. So on his left hand, he's got another kind of sensor that collects all his motion data. So this is something very similar to what our smartphones actually gather, 3D motion data, what the Nike Fuel Band and what other things gather. But the thing is, it gathers the data much more in a granular level. It collects data 50 milliseconds, every 50 milliseconds, so that means it gathers data, our 3D data, 20 times in 1 second. And the one, the things that we hang on here, this actually does the same thing. It gathers all the motion data, and at the same time, it gathers data of who we're interacting with. So that's the difference there. And this is what Dr. Yano looks like. So he actually gathered all his motion data. He actually wears this thing every day of the world, every day of his life, for the past 9 years. And this is what his life looks like. So every column indicates one year of his life. And you would see blue means that he's not really active, and the red is more active. So you can see that he goes to bed around midnight. So he goes to bed around midnight and then wakes up around 6 in the morning. And you can see some of the lines that are going horizontally. That means that he's moving to another country. So he's traveling around, and that's why we can see the time difference there. There are 2 places on the column in the middle that's got a gray line. That's when his sensor just stopped motion, so he had to fix it for 3 days. So that's the gray line horizontally. And to the one that's next to it, and the blue line there, he's not moving for 3 days here, and that's when he forgot his sensor at an airport. So this is what explains. We can see this is the same thing, we call it a life tapestry for 4 different people. And we can see A, B, C, and D. We can see that person A and person, well, maybe A, B, and D, they tend to have a routine life. So they sleep, like let's say, A sleeps maybe around 11 p.m. and then wakes up in 6 o'clock in the morning. And the same thing happens with B and D. While person C, this person doesn't really have a certain time for sleeping. So he's someone maybe like me. But another thing that we see here is even though A, B, and D, they all have their times for sleeping, C actually has 3 vertical red lines here. So this person, he doesn't really have a certain time for sleeping, but he has certain moments of really, really active moments. And that's when he's commuting to work in the morning. And the one on the far right is when he's commuting back home from his work. And the one in the middle is lunchtime. So he seems to be very, very active during lunchtime. And, well, we actually asked this person, and he told us that he was running outside every lunchtime without having lunch. So that explains these 3 vertical red lines. So what we saw here, this is actually some patterns that we human beings can see by collecting all this data. But we are collecting this data in a much granular format. So what we were thinking about is if we can see patterns that we human beings can't see by data visualization. And that's what we found out here, the law of 1/T. So if a person is moving, if I'm walking around, I don't just stop suddenly. And my hand has always been moving while I've been doing this presentation. So there are patterns when a person is active and then turns non-active. And we found out a law here, which I'm not really going to explain because of the time. And we actually separated this into 2 groups. So it's not just a single person. There's no such person who is active all the time, 365 days of the year. So there are times when we are active and times where we are not active, and that might differ by person, by time of the day, by anything. So we separated that into times that are non-active and times that are active, and we actually did some kind of research with this. We compared this pattern to something and just looked up what it correlates with. And then we found out that it correlated very, very strongly with happiness because our 0.92, that's a very, very high correlation number. So we found out that it correlated with happiness, and we actually did a case study with all these sensors within a call center. And we found out that this correlation of happiness actually explained the sales ratio there too. So it's very, very simple here. The 1/T fluctuation equals happiness, and it has direct impact on sales success. So that's all I have to say today. Happiness drives productivity. And the good thing here is it's not sales success that led to happiness, but it's happiness that led to sales success. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Richard Smith from Wejo, and I'll give you a brief talk through what we do. We should start off. That's who I am, and we'll have a short film to start off with. I hope. We should have a short film.
Can we get the video?
This is Dave. He's a busy guy and can't afford to be late. That's why he uses Wejo. Wejo is the next big thing in automotive software. Yes, it's an app, but it's so much more than that as well. Because Wejo is a community, it gives you live updates on traffic conditions, which are updated in real time by other users. So it doesn't just tell you where to go, it tells you where not to go too. Pretty useful. But it doesn't stop there. By following your GPS signal, Wejo monitors your driving. So, if you're a good driver, it'll reduce your insurance premiums. It even gives you money off fuel. But it's not all about cars and driving. Wejo also gives you lots of information tailored specifically to your environment. It knows where to park, where's good to eat. It gives you last-minute deals on hotels, shows, and even concerts. From free coffee to discounts on new tyres, Wejo can help you get the best out of every journey. And if all that wasn't enough, it's also a peer-to-peer car-sharing community. So if another user needs to borrow your car, you can hook them up. With Wejo, you're part of a perfectly connected community of friends, drivers, and deals. Wejo, we get you where you're going.
Okay, that's the future vision, it might be said. We are virtually there. There are some components of that that are just about to stream later this year. Nonetheless, Wejo is about making our drivers and providing them with a more rewarding experience. We do that through fairly simple platforms of consumerization, making the consumer or the driver realize that their data is actually theirs and they get to choose who they interact with. And then we can then demonstrate monetization back to our key partners, which are the retailers, the OEMs, and the insurers. This is what it looks like. It's currently a smartphone app. We developed this because obviously the smartphone is a digital imprint of who you are. Everybody has it. We share everything about ourselves with it. We know that if we develop this well, it's a very easy SDK integration into the connected car of the future, and we view the connected car combined with a lot of the sensor data, and as Hugo said before, the cars of the future are going to be bristling with sensors. If we combine that with decent contextual data and our behavioral and driving data, we can get some really rich insight, not just into the way that people drive, but the way that they live their life, and we can market to them. We view the connected car combined with the smartphone as the bridge between the connected home and the connected work. We know that the uptake of the connected car is going to take some time. Currently, we've got about 25 million connected cars, but the projection is going to be up to some 220 million connected cars by the year 2020. The problem we've got at the moment, and OEMs have got at the moment, is that they're only just over 40%. Well, should I say over 40% have never even heard of a connected car. A similar sort of percentage have heard of it, but haven't got a clue what a connected car actually stands for. There's only 14% of the population know what connected car means and are interested in it. So there's a challenge there, but nonetheless, the scope of this is vast in terms of the data that you can collect. There you go. I'll keep through this. There is given the time that we've got, one of the principles is that we are expressing to all our drivers and all our customers, be they B2B or B2C, is that the data of the driver lies at the very heart of this, and it has got to be express consent driven, that the data is the driver's own, and they get to choose who they do and don't do deal with. The anonymized data, yes, we can provide trend data on journeys and lifestyle behavior, but it must be the person who's driving that makes the choices. You'll have seen one of these data onions many, many times, but obviously what we're striving to do here is build up layers and layers of data, add some contextualized third-party data, and then offer that out for marketing purposes in some instances, for safety issuances in a lot of others. There's a great deal of proxy validation that can be offered back to insurers from this data as well. In terms of data security, that's the most paramount point, not just in terms of the way that data is treated and handled, but in terms of how secure the connected car and also the smartphone is. So we're adopting all the necessary certifications and registrations. That's it.
All right. Counting down from 12 minutes to 6. All right. Okay, I'm Brandon Fischer. I'm from GroupM. Specifically, I work on a team at GroupM that's called GroupM Next, and we like to think that we come from the future. GroupM Next's goal is to look 3 to 5 years out and decide what technologies, what partners, and what platforms will be important to marketers in the future. So today we're going to talk about the programmatic car. Now, recently we published an online magazine of sorts. It's at our website, groupmnext.com, and I wrote a whole piece on what we call the programmatic life, which is where all of these devices are providing data to advertisers, and then we can programmatically target you through those devices. But we want to talk about the car specifically. So this is an interior of a new BMW. And inside the programmatic car, there's a small ad, don't know if you can see it or read it, but it basically says, looks like you're low on fuel. Here's a BP that's 0.2 miles or kilometers from you. And you can easily click on that ad, and it will route your map to the nearest BP so that you can refuel. So this would be an opportunity for an advertiser who uses the data from the smart connected car to then layer on an opportunity for a brand exposure experience, or in this case, a gasoline sale. This is all great, and we can get deeper than just gasoline, let's go to a gas station. But in order to get to this level, what we really evaluated with our research is what hurdles do we as a data community have to get over in order to get there. Now, I'm going to kind of wave my hands over issues like data standards and collecting these data in certain ways, because I understand that in the amount of time it will take us to amass these other objectives, we as data science community, we will have solved those issues. It is not a concern of mine, nor do I believe it's a concern of anyone else in this room, that we can handle the data that's coming in from these connected devices. So it's a matter of building up the platform, which is what I want to talk about. And there are three hurdles, as I described them, that we will have to overcome. So let's talk about adoption. This is the growth of the connected car, both looking at sales and what I call connected car users, which you could also just call connected car drivers. When I talk about adoption, what I'm really getting at is this idea of protecting user privacy. So what one of the challenges is as you're looking at this data is that when you want to protect PII, it's a matter of making sure that you can maintain anonymity to a certain level. In the United States, they've set standards for each industry so that we can maintain anonymity looking at PII. And so the standard that we used for the analysis I'm talking about today is holding anonymity down to a bin of 15 individuals. Well, if you wanted to do that, how many users do you have to have? So if we're looking at I didn't do that. If we're looking at a targeting criteria that is fairly generic in terms of location, adding in standard targeting like age, gender, et cetera, plus 5 additional features that would come from the connected car, then you would need 500 connected cars on the road. Well, as of 2014, we have an estimated 60 million connected cars. So not only are we at this level, it's not interesting to us. If I can only target your location in a connected car to the state level, then I'm not built an effective platform. So if we want to get specific about location, then what we really need using those same targeting criteria is we need 10 million users. And as I've said, we're already there. In fact, 2014, there were 26.7 million connected cars that were sold, so twice as many as what we need. As far as the car market is concerned, we can protect user privacy inside the car. Now, the next hurdle for us as advertisers is, when do I care? Is 20 million enough for me to care about? Is it enough for me to build an ad platform on and reach the proper target that I want, given how specific I can get? And so what we did is we forecasted out users to see at what point this would be of interest to advertisers. Now, the Business Insider projection is the one that you're talking about that's 200-something million. I actually am a bit more bullish on the connected car market. So I think that we're going to get close to 350 million by the end of 2020. And I feel this way because of 2 platforms that are only now being released, being the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto. As you begin to make the car the ultimate mobile device by putting in the operating systems that everyone is familiar with, the adoption of those devices will be much faster. Currently, I don't know if everyone's aware, but currently BlackBerry is the largest operating system driver inside connected cars. They hold a significant portion of the market, but I don't know exactly what the stat is. But as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are being released, and they're available now on both platforms are available on all connected cars that are being sold, essentially. They will really drive up the user base and the sales. So as we're looking at numbers, that's over 350 million, and that's 480% increase. I was not cognizant of time, so what I will do is I will skip to the very end. The last thing that we need to consider is user acceptance. We did a short analysis where we considered other platforms that have to run ads against their user base, and we looked at how their users handled it when they began running ads to understand at what point they would accept them. It ranges all the way from WTF to meh. What we found is there is some happy space here somewhere around 50 million users. So we can protect PII, we can protect, or it's of interest to advertisers. But remember, we have two different operating systems that we have to run across. So our goal is ultimately 100 million users. And looking at the projections that we've built all the way out through 2020, my expectation is that we'll begin seeing these programmatic ads inside the car as early as next year. They will be, as we described, very simple, like you need gas, go to a BP. Your tires are low, talk about Michelin. When we want to get very deep with the data to look at more interesting information like, hey, I'm connecting with your connected home. I noticed that you're low on eggs and milk. Perhaps you need to go to the grocery store. Let me map that route for you. That more realistically will come in 2018. Right. So thank you very much. You guys need a mic too.
Oh, here. I don't know where's mine on. So thank you very much for these insights. So hopefully giving you a bit of a clue on what is in this big data pot. I think on the one hand, in terms of what the sensors can deliver in relate to happiness, also in terms of having a product made out of the data, and then of course on the analytics side and what it means for a marketer. But let's start with the data, with the sensors. I mean, if you showed us the relationship to happiness and marketing objectives, where does it go? Where do you see the role of sensors in our context go?
To happiness.
Great.
Because happiness explains everything and what we want. So yes, that was what I thought. Yes, let's go back to cars. So you can actually measure everything when you're measuring the human motion. So if you're driving a car, we're not really dancing when you're driving a car, but we are making small motions, and that those motions, if it's going to explain happiness, then it's going to explain a lot of other things too, safety, driving safety, or if you're not meant to drive a car, or other things too. So yes, the ultimate answer there is happiness.
It sounds promising, doesn't it? So with Richard, I mean, if you look at the sensors in the driving behavior, so Wejo has a driving behavior index.
Yep.
I mean, how is that going to develop? What is going to help marketers out of that index? What help do you get?
If we can look at, well, taking the very basic ones, most of the connected cars now will have number of seat sensors, so you can identify the size of the adult within the car. Once you've identified that offers a marketing opportunity to holidays, half terms, you name it. There's a myriad of different things there. You cited the fuel gauge, where you can then have competitive offers going out to fuel retailers, but that stands with any number of retailers, all of which are sensor-based. For the motor manufacturer, if they can get advanced information on the decay of some of the car parts, they can then save within the life cycle of the car itself, and they can demonstrate real value back to the driver. That's all sensor-driven, but you use the conduit of the data hub to offer the value back.
All right, okay. So and then, in Brennan, if we add predictive analytics to that, and you even talk about programmatic, where does it take us then?
Ultimately, where we want to get to is that programmatic life that I mentioned earlier. This idea that if you did not sleep well, your sleep tracker senses that, and you wake up, and as a result, maybe you have elevated body temperature, maybe you have an irregular heart rate or something, and so Health Monitor says this person is ultimately not feeling well. As a result, inside your connected car, the sensitivity of all your driver assist programs is increased, because it realizes that you as a driver are in a vulnerable situation, and it should take more responsibility as an intelligent mobile.
All right. So, I mean, getting that data and, I mean, adding health and so on to the data, you can almost build a driver DNA. So, I mean, Richard, if you have your driving behavior index, I mean, could it be a base for a driver DNA? Is that where you are, would Wejo also moving to?
Yes, it could. We could offer that both. The way that we would look at it is obviously primarily the DBI is there for insurers to offer UBI, usage-based insurance, but it can also be a way of actually looking at the reliability of that driver. And if they come to renew their car, or if they're going to lease or hire a car, then there could be financial benefits to that just by using that contextualized behavioral driving.
All right.
Okay.
And Haruko, I mean, if you say it's going to lead to happiness, so we're going to have that database full of driver DNA. I mean, how does it then, if happiness helps us to sell more and reach our marketing objectives, how is that DNA of a driver then going to tell us what to do?
DNA of a driver tell us what to do. That's actually quite a difficult question. I love driving, but you know, a lot of the cars these days, they just drive automatically, and they're for me actually, and that is not actually taking a little bit of the happiness away for me. But if you're able to actually measure yourself, because you know, when you say you're happy, you don't really know if you're happy. You might be lying to yourself. But motion data actually explains that, whether you are happy or not. So that gives much more explanation to what we're actually doing, what we're actually interacting within the car. So I'm not really answering your question, but yes, I think measuring all that data is bringing us, it might open doors to some more new things that we can do in the car or interact within the car.
Okay, well, that's the route I wanted to take. So sorry to put you a bit on the block there in terms of that relationship. But if you think then of what we can do in the car and engaging the drivers or the other passengers in the car, how do you see that going forward then?
Well, we have more free time in the car now because the car does everything for us. So, you know, you would never have imagined seeing an advertisement within a car 10 years ago. You need to focus more on driving. But now we've got more options for entertainment. Now we've got more options of, I don't know what we can do in the car. We might be really able to be dancing in the car. So, yes, we've got so much options there that we can do, and I'm sorry, I can't really think up of what we can do, but advertisements, marketing, just making a happier life, there's tons of options that's going to come out.
Okay. I mean, you showed it a little bit in terms of a few of the examples that you gave with Fuel 11 and so on, and I showed the picture with all the screens in the car, so, I mean, what is your point of view there?
Just on ads in the car? I mean, coming from a marketing company, I'm in favor of it. Job security, whatnot. But no, I think where we want to get to is a complete connected ecosystem of devices. I keep coming back to that idea, but what I would like when I'm in my car is my car to make my life happier by being useful, beyond just getting me from A to B. Helping me to better plan my day, better plan my routes as we see, which already there are apps that let us do. And in doing so, I'm willing to accept advertising as a sponsor of that activity, so long as it's not dangerous. You know, seeing an ad in a car, you don't want to, before you can turn it on, have to sit through a 4-minute ad play. But definitely recommending a gas station, helping me optimize my schedule. Those are places where brands can attach to specific events, either as a sponsor or as an ultimate destination, and I think that works really well, especially initially as we're getting users to accept in-car advertising.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, Richard, here you showed us Dave in the video and what Dave has experienced. You said, okay, that's probably going to happen towards the end of this year. But how are you going to use then the data that Dave generates and trying to engage with Dave in the car beyond what you showed? It's
a good point. Dave probably, if it had that many messages coming at him there, he would have totaled his car within 2 minutes. And it's a key concern of most of the motor manufacturers, as it is for us. In the way that the HMI works with the driver is a real serious consideration. When we amalgamate all the data that we're receiving from both the phone and the car, we then think about the messaging strategy and the marketing to the end user. And it's got to be done in that way, because if you start trying to market within the car and do advertising within the car, it's a route to death. It's a route for serious damage. You've got to think about taking all this data from the sensors, the behavioural driving, creating a nice silo of rich information, and then communicating with people through their connected home and connected devices when they're not driving.
So, okay, so the connected life.
Yeah.
Maybe let me open up to the audience. Is there anybody having a question with regards to driving behavior data, Internet of Things? Yes, in the back there.
Hey, well, it's more a question about happiness to you, Haruko. I really enjoyed your presentation. So, do you think you are close to understand the drivers of happiness and even predict them?
Yes, we can actually predict them because we know what the human motion beings are making. So the thing is, another thing that I did within this study is, we can't actually control human motions. We can't say, be happy and you're happy. But the stretches we did within here, so if I say, just take a stretch, then you're more focused on this presentation. Or if I need to write something, I don't really can write automatically. I need to make a cup of tea and have a walk around, and then I'm starting to concentrate. So by measuring these human motions, we can know what things and what kind of motions are necessary, and we can actually recommend what you can do to that. So that might actually build into happiness or safety driving cars too.
Okay, any other question?
Sensors, and therefore each sensor is trying to act as its own platform. And how do you deal with the competition in a sensible way so that you don't lock away the data for the user? Because for example, the user generates some value by collecting his own data in one platform, and then he decides to switch or either add another one, and by combining these two, he gets some extra value, but...
You want to take it?
Yeah. So the question is about the fragmented device universe right now. In the fitness space alone, you have all of these fitness devices, and right now they don't want to play with each other. And ultimately, unfortunately, the answer is they will have to. So each of the operating systems have already created platforms to unify, personal user data. Apple has their Health Kit, and their Android has their Google Health. And even within the home, we now have Apple's HomeKit and works with Nest. So essentially what will happen is all of that data will be flowed to the operating system level, and even within the car with each of their car platforms. So rather than us as data people trying to attach to each of those data platforms and then trying to make all that data work together and fit into one database or assemble multiple databases, ultimately we'll be going to just two places to get that data in the future.
Thank you. So time is up. Thank you, Haruko, Richard, and Brandon. I hope we were able to describe the pot that Internet of Things is going to deliver, and hopefully it's going to become a pot of gold, and we'll be back next year to talk about that. Thank you very much.